Good morning everyone. Madaling araw na kasi. Mga hindi makatulog dyan, basa na rin kayo Bible guys. Ano tayo ha? Matthew 10 verse 21 to 42. Brother will betray brother to death, and father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. All men will hate you because of me, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. When you are persecuted in one place, please flee to another. I tell you the truth, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel before the Son of Man comes. A student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the student to be like his teacher and her servant like his master. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebub, how much more the members of his household? So do not be afraid of them. There is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, or hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. Ano yun guys? May narinig ako sana. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the roofs. Do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from the will of your Father, and even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid, you are worth more than many sparrows. Whoever acknowledges me before men, I will also acknowledge him before my Father in heaven. But whoever disowns me before men, I will disown him before my Father in heaven. Do not suppose that I have come to bring peace to the earth. I did not come to bring peace but a sword, for I have come to turn a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. A man's enemies will be the members of his own household. Wala, huwag naman. Anyone who loves his father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Anyone who loves his son or daughters more than me is not worthy of me. Ay, yari na tayo. Whoever finds his life will lose it, and whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives the one who sent me. Anyone who receives a prophet because he is a prophet will receive a prophet's reward. And anyone who receives righteous man because he is righteous man will receive righteous man's reward. And if anyone gives even the cup of cold water to one of those little ones because he is my disciple, I tell you the truth, he will certainly not lose his reward. Okay guys, lipat tayo sa Genesis. Tapos na yun. 42 lang tayo. Saan tayo sa Genesis guys? Ang dami ko ng tigyaw ito. Wala kasing tulog-tulog. Hindi, yung buhok kasi umaano sa mukha. Sobrang haba na hindi pa nagpapagupit. Ay, COVID-19, umalis ka na kasi para makakilos na kami. Hindi kami makakilos ng gusto namin. Dito, 34 tayo kahapon. So, ngayon, Tatlo ulit guys. 36, 37, 38. Apat na pages. 1, 4. Pero at least guys, hindi gaanong nagbabara ilong natin. Pagka kasi mamaya pag bagong gising, barado yan. So mainom na rin tong papatulog. Kaya lang minsan talaga hindi papasok sa utak mo. Hayaan mo na. Esau Descendants. This is the account of Esau, that is Edom. Yan ang title guys. Now, ang title is Esau Descendants. Then sa verse 1 is, this is the account of Esau, that is Edom. Esau took his wives from the women of Canaan, Ada, daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Oholibamah, daughter of Ana. Dalawang asawa niya guys, granddaughter of Zibeon. Lalo naman si Jacob. Meron ng Rachel, meron ng Leah, may maidservant pang dalawa. Diba? So, 4 ng asawa. Antok na. Diyos ko Lord. Ganun natin para pagka maghihikap tayo, hindi makikita. O diba? Para madaling mag-escape sa camera. Halatang antok na guys. Yung mata na namumuhay na. Yung dalawa niyang asawa guys, Esau took his wives from the women of Canaan, Ada, daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Oholibamah, daughter of Ana, and granddaughter of Zibeon, the Hivite, also Basemath, daughter of Ismael, and sister of Nebaioth. I think guys, napansin ko pag pumunta sila sa isang lugar, may tao na. So it means, hindi lang talaga sila ang tao na kumbaga sila lang yung, siguro sila lang yung famous nung time na yun. Kaya sila na dito sa Bible. Pero yung, tingnan pag pumupunta sila sa isang lugar, may mga tao na diba? So, kanginong angkan yung mga yun? Yun din ang tanong. Kasi katulad nito, Esau took his wives from the women of Canaan. So, ibig sabihin, may mga na doon sa Canaan. Ada, daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Oholibamah, daughter of Ana, and granddaughter of Zibeon, the Hivite. Also Basemath, daughter of Ismael, and sister of Nebaioth. Ada bore Elibas to Esau. Basemath bore Reuel, and Oholibamah bore Jews. Naku, ito na naman yung aming trivia guys. Tinatawad na naman ako magbasa pag ganyan. Esau took his wives and sons and daughters and all the members of his household, as well as his livestock and all his other animals, and all the goods he had acquired in Canaan, and moved to land some distance from his brother Jacob. Alam mo guys, nung araw, di ba ang mga pera nila is mga gold, bumibili din sila ng lupa Katulad nun kay yung namatay si Sarah, Di ba binili din yun ni Abraham? Yung cave. So, ibig sabihin, pag ano nga, hindi lang sila ang tao. Siguro sila lang kasi ang famous kaya sila talaga nababanggit dito sa Bible. Yung mainit tubig ko sa likod, nilalagay ko yan. Para masarap sandalan. Bahala kayo, nakita na yung paghihikab ko. Okay lang yan. Ako lang naman ang nandito. Their positions were too great for them to remain together. The land where they were staying could not support them both because of their livestock. So Esau, that is Edom, settled in the hill country of Seir. This is the account of Esau, the father of the Edomites in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Esau's wife Adah, and Reuel, the son of Esau's wife Basemath. The sons of Eliphaz: Timon, Omar, Zebo, Gatam, and Kenaz. Esau's son Eliphaz also had a concubine named Timnah, who bore him Amalek. They were grandson of Esau's wife Adah. The sons of Reuel: Nathan, Zerah, Shema, and Mizah. They were grandsons of Esau's wife Basemath. Bilisan na guys at antok na. The sons of Esau's wife Oholibamah, daughter of Anah and granddaughter of Zibeon, whom she bore to Esau. Jus, Chilam, and Korah. Yan ang problema guys sa gabi. Ganitong papatulog tayo, antok talaga. Kung sa madaling araw, ang kalaban natin is baradong ilong. Ang kalaban naman natin sa bago matulog is antok. Yun lang. Ba't gaya ano no? Ang hirap magbasa ng Bible, ang daming blockages. Sa akin lang ha. Ewan ko sa iba. So, Huwag na natin basahin to guys kasi mga ano na nila to, family tree na to. Hindi naman natin to naabutan eh. So, yun lang. The sons of sa verse 14. The sons of Esau's wife, Oholibamah, daughter of Anah and granddaughter of Zibeon, whom she bore to Esau. Jerusalem, and Korah. Na. Nandito pa lang tayo sa 36. Sa 15 tayo guys. These were the chief among Esau's descendants, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn of Esau. Ay, ayoko intindihin. Puro naman pala itong mga anak-anak na nila guys eh. The sons of Dishan, Uz, and Aram. There were the Horite chiefs, Lotan, Shebal, Zebulun, Anna, Dishan, Ezer, and Dishan. These were the Horite chiefs according to the divisions in the land of Seir. The rulers of Edom. These were the kings who reigned in Edom before any Israelite king reigned. Bela, son of Beor, became king of Edom. His city was named Dinhabah. Nantok na ako. Parang boring naman ngayon yung boring yung kwento ngayon Puro lang pangalan. These were the chief descended from Esau by name according to their clans and regions. Verse 40 guys. This was Esau, the father of Edomites. So siya pala talagang father ng Edomites. The story of Joseph guys. Joseph is sold into slavery. Yung anak to ni Rachel, diba? Si Joseph. Tandaan niyo pa to. Joseph, one of Jacob's 12 sons, was obviously the favorite, hated by his brothers. For this, Joseph was sold to slave traders only to mercy. Yung pinaka-haters niya guys, binabasa ko. Okay, Joseph is sold into slavery. Joseph's dreams. Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob. (37) na pala tayo. Hanggang 38 babasahin natin. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks. 17 years old lang siya. Was tending the flocks with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zippah, his brother's wives. And he brought their father a bad report about them. Now Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons. Si Israel guys is si Jacob yan ha. Yung tatay nila. Because he had been born, di ba nga pinalitan na yung pangalan niya ng Israel. And he made a richly ornamented robe for him. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him. Ganun talaga, may favoritism tayo. And could not speak a kind word to him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field, when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream and he told it to his brother. Huwag mo na kasi sabihin para hindi magalit sa'yo. Listen, he said, I had another dream and this time the sun and moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. 11 stars yung 11 niyang kapatid. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. Joseph sold by his brothers. Now his brothers had gone to Greece. Their father's flocks near Shechem and Israel, and to Joseph, as you know, your brothers are grazing. The flocks near Shechem, come, I am going to send you to them. Very well, he replied. So he said to him, Go and see if all is well with your brothers and with the flocks, and bring word back to me. Then he sent him off from the valley of Hebron. When Joseph arrived at Shechem, a man found him wandering around in the fold and asked him, What are you looking for? He replied, I'm looking for my brothers. Can you tell me where they are grazing their flocks? They have moved on from here, the man answered. I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. So Joseph went after his brothers and found them near Dothan, but they saw him in distance, and before he reached them, they plotted to kill him. Now, here comes the dreamer, they said to each other. Come now, let's kill him and throw him into one of the cisterns, and say the ferocious animal devoured him. Then we'll see what comes of his dream. Then we'll see what comes of his dream. Pero mo, no, kapatid talaga sa kapatid. Grabe man. When Reuben heard this, he tried to rescue him from their hands. Oh, mabait si Reuben. Let's not take his life, he said. Don't shed any blood. Throw him into this cistern here in the desert, but don't lay a hand on him. Reuben said this to rescue him from them and take him back to his father. May po si Reuben, mabait. So when Joseph came to his brothers, they stripped him of his robe, the richly ornamented robe he was wearing, and they took him and threw him into the cistern. Sana tayo, guys. Antok mo. Now, the cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Inom ulit tayo, guys. Okay, 23 minutes na, guys. As they sat down, they ate their meal. They looked up and saw a caravan of Ishmaelites coming from Galilee. Their camels were loaded with spices, palm, and myrrh, and they were on their way to take them down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, What we will gain if we kill our brother and cover up his blood? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites and not lay our hands on him. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. His brothers agreed. At least nakapag-isip sila. So when the Midianite merchants came by, his brothers pulled Joseph up out of the cistern and sold him for 20 shekels of silver to the Ishmaelites. Parang kay Ismael lang to eh. Who took him to Egypt. Who took him to Egypt. When Reuben returned to the sister and saw that Joseph was not there, he tore his clothes. He went back to his brothers and said, "The boy isn't there. Where can I turn now?" Then they got Joseph's robe, slaughtered a goat, and dipped the robe in the blood. They took the ornamented robe back to their father and said, "We found this. Examine it to see whether it is your son's robe." He recognized it and said, "It is my son's robe. Some ferocious animal have akala nila inano ng animal. Joseph has surely been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes, put on sackcloth, and mourned for his sons many days. All his sons and daughters came to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "No," he said, "in mourning will I go down to the grave to my son." So his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites sold Joseph in Egypt to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. Judah and Tamar. At that time Judah left his brothers and went down to stay with a man of Adullam named Hira. There Judah met the daughter of a Canaanite man named Shua. He married her and lived with her. She became pregnant and gave birth to a son who was named Er. She conceived again and gave birth to a son named Onan. Si Judah to guys. She gave birth to still another son and named him Shelah. It was at Giziv that she gave birth to him. Judah got a wife for Er, his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. Then Judah said to Onan, "Lie with your brother's wife, Halakah, and fulfill your duty to her as a brother-in-law. Produce offspring of your brother." But Onan knew that the offspring would not be his, so whenever he lay with his brother's wife, he spilled his semen to the ground to keep from producing offspring for his brother. Ganon. What he did was wicked in the Lord's sight, so he put him to death also. Namatay rin yun si Namatay rin si Onan. Namuli tayo guys. Ba't ganon? Nabiyuda lang yung asawa, tapos pinaasawa din sa kapatid. Tapos namatay ulit yung kapatid. Anong gagawin? Judah then said to his daughter-in-law, Tamar, "Live as a widow in your father's house until my son Shelah grows up." Halakah. Tapos siguro ipapaasawa na naman. Hindi matanda na siya. For he thought he may die too, just like his brothers, so Tamar went to live in her father's house. After a long time, Judah's wife, the daughter of Shua, died. When Judah had recovered from his grief, he went to Timnah to the men who were shearing his sheep, and his friend Hira, the Adullamite, went with him. When Tamar was told, "Your father-in-law is on his way to Timnah to shear his sheep," she took off her widow's clothes, covered herself with a veil to disguise herself, and then sat down at the entrance of Enim, which is on the road to Timnah. For she saw that Though Sheila had now grown up, she had not been given to him as his wife. When Judah saw her, he thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. Now realizing that she was his daughter-in-law, he went over to her by the roadside and said, "Come now, let me sleep with you." Naku po, si Judah, yung biyanan niya. "And what will you give me to sleep with you?" she asked. "I'll send you a young goat from my flock," he said. "Will you give me something as a pledge until you send it?" she asked. He said, "What pledge should I give you?" "Your soul and its cord and the staff in your hand," she answered. So he gave them to her and slept with her, and she became pregnant by him. After she left the top of her veil and put on her widow clothes again. Meanwhile, Judah sent the young goat by his friend Adonai in order to get his pledge back from the woman. But he did not find her. He asked the men who lived there, "Where is the shrine prostitute who was beside the road of Enem?" Ano mo nga yun manugang mo nga yun Napagkamalang prostitute, guys. Ba't kaya ganun, no? Isang babae, pinagpasapasahan na lang siya. Unan sa magkapatid, tapos ngayon naman biyanan niya. Ay. After she, there hasn't been any shrine prostitute here, they said. Kasi hinahanap ni Judah, guys So went back to Judah and said, "I didn't find her." Sino ba naghanap? Ang hirap intindihin, guys, pagkagabi. Sabi ko sa iyo. Gusto ko lang talaga magbasa para kasi nga hindi makatulog. Basta sige na. Then Judah said, "Let her keep." Sa verse 23, guys. Then Judah said, "Let her keep what she has, or we will become a laughing stock. After all, I did send her this young goat, but you didn't find her." About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Your daughter-in-law Tamar is guilty of prostitution," and as a result, she was now pregnant. Ang ano nga niya, ang nakapuntis nga si Judah. Kawawa naman. Judah said, "Bring her out and have her burned to death." Patay. Kawawa naman. Ano ba pangalan niya? Ano ba pangalan niya? Tamar. Si Tamar pala. Kawawa naman siya. Hindi alam ni Judah na ang pinagbubuntis ni Tamar is anak niya. As she was being brought out, she sent a message to her father-in-law. "I am pregnant by the man who owns this," she said, and she added, See if you recognize whose cell and cord and staff these are." Judah recognized them and said, "She is more righteous than I, since I wouldn't give her to my son Shelah." And he did not sleep with her again. When the time came for her to give birth, there were twin boys in her womb. As she was giving birth, one of them put out his hand. So the midwife took a scarlet thread and tied it on his wrist and said, "This one came out first." But when they drew back his hand, his brother came out, and she said, "So this is how you have broken out." And he was named Perez. Then his brother, who had the scarlet thread on his wrist, came out, and he was given the name Zerah. Okay na guys. Salamat po. Natapos tayo. Bye everyone. Amen.